The next talk for the day is by Ms. Ritambara Agrawal on the topic legal nuances to the cloud. Ms. Ritambara Agrawal is the founder and managing partner at Intellicity, an international law firm headquartered in Noida, with offshore offices in United States and United Kingdom. She is having a significant and diverse transactional experience including mergers and acquisitions, joint ventures, foreign collaborations, IP protection, including mergers, cyber law and technology law issues. She is working as a legal advisor to reputed multinational companies in negotiating and finalizing various business and commercial arrangements, market entry strategy, IP protection and enforcement strategies, and international trade laws.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's a long day for everyone, and everyone would be thinking, long day. Everyone is speaking. When she has also come, she'll also do a lot of gyan, and when she'll be over her time. Okay, my name is Ritambara Agrawal. Giving me a brief about myself. I'm a legal consultant, and I'm running my own law firm. It's a law firm essentially dealing with IPR issues, corporate law, technology law, and cross-border legal issues. So today I'm going to talk about legal nuances to the cloud. So when we go to the cloud issue, essentially we forget about the legal nuances, that what could be the legal nuances, what are the issues, what are the threats, what are the risks involved, and what are the mitigating remedies for the same. We focus on that, okay, this is the data I have in the cloud, so what next? What am I going to do? How my data is and what? But we essentially forget to see the legal integrities in this thing. So today we are going to talk about three things: issues in cloud, risk involved when the data is stored in the cloud, and the mitigation issues. Essentially, cloud, as everyone knows, that cloud has three things: SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. And all the three have different legal issues. But essentially, I'm not differentiating, and I'm taking issues not individually, but comprehensively. So if we start with the issues, the basic issue with the cloud computing would always be security and the privacy of the data. Whenever our data is stored in the cloud, it's in the state of a multi-tenancy, by which we mean that it's not a private cloud. We are not talking about a private cloud, it's a public cloud in which many parties, many companies' data is stored. So if multi-party companies' data is stored, so that means that a single vendor is storing probably 100 companies' data. So if he is having access to all the data, then he would be, there could be a breach in the privacy and confidentiality of the data as well. The main thing by which the cloud service provider and the owner of the data are bound are the SLA, service level agreements. But essentially we see these SLAs are mostly they are non-negotiable unless you specifically ask for it and do the due diligence, get the contract negotiated by a legal team, have your terms in place, get the things but usually those are click-wrap agreements. You just go to the site, get your data uploaded, and you just abide by clicking those click-wrap agreements. You just abide by the legal terms that, okay, these are the legal terms. And unfortunately, many of the times you don't read through the agreement as well, that what the term says, what are the privacy and the confidentiality policy of the company, where the data would be stored. Essentially, as we know that cloud involves a flow of data across borders. So you don't know that where your data is. It can be in any region, it can be in EU, it can be in Asia, it can be in America. So if we talk about the stateless flow of the cloud, data in the cloud, then we have to ensure that wheresoever our data is flowing, whether we are complying with the set country's law and legal regulations or not. It's not, the owner would be under the impression that it's the liability of the service provider. But essentially that's not always the case. It's very much the liability of the data. For example, if you are talking about a healthcare information security data, then that particular data has to comply with HIPAA, which is healthcare, related to healthcare. Because there have been many cases where people, the service provider has stored data, health-related data in the cloud, and they have been a breach, and they have disclosed the patient's information, their diagnosis and all those things publicly. So that's a breach. So it's not only the service provider which has to see that they are complying with all the legal things and the country-specific laws. It's equally the responsibility of the owner to know where my data is located, where all it's going, what are the country-specific compliances that I have to follow. Then if we come up to ownership of the, okay, that was a brief. I'm going to individually take all the issues. Then if we talk about the risk, what are the risks involved when we are storing the data in cloud? Loss of data, what if there is an attack on the cloud and you lose all the data? Is there a backup to the same or not? Is the cloud service provider keeping the backup copies or not? Many times they are not, and the owner can be at risk at losing the entire data as well. Then, what is the policy for disclosure of the trade secrets? When we are talking about the data in the cloud is a trade secret of the company, of which the confidentiality is very important. So, what is the policy which is governing what is the privity of contract between the provider and the owner of the data? That how they are going to guard the confidentiality of the same? And if there is an attack on the cloud, what is the recovery and disaster management to the same? How the owner can recover the data of the cloud from the cloud? Then portability in the sense that in the case that the owner wants to change the cloud service vendor, that how are they allowed to port it back to their home, or what is the portability of from one vendor to another vendor? They have to see and analyze these things in advance before transporting the data to the cloud. Then again, the sharing of data with third parties. Like whenever the data is there in the cloud, what is the policy of sharing it with the third party? As we discussed earlier, that it involves essentially clouds involves multi-tenancy. So we are talking about multi-tenancy, that you are storing data of multiple parties. That is there a sharing of data between the parties? From one party to, there might be a data of the competing party as well. What is the policy of confidentiality and non-disclosure of the data from one party to another? We have to ensure. Then there are few mitigating strategies which we talk about the encryption of the data, which seems to be a common thing, but which is a very common thing ironically, but at the same time, people are not following it. Data many times in the cloud is not encrypted, or even if it's encrypted, it's very weakly encrypted, which is at risk, and if there is any attack, it's like open to public. The hacker can easily read the data and can implement the changes in the same. So one of the mitigating strategies has to be that the owner or the provider has to comply with how strong is the encryption of the data. Then when you're talking about the SLAs, whenever a party is entering into a contract, they have to, essentially they should not ignore the involvement of the legal team since the beginning. They should have the pre-contract due diligence. They should have that they are not signing any click-wrap agreement which is non-negotiable. They should have their terms on board as well, that these are my terms, these are your liabilities, these are my liabilities, these are your roles and responsibilities. What is the risk management, who is taking the responsibility, what is the portability. All these things should be defined in advance rather than taking it to the letter label. Then there should be a right to audit should be given to the owner as well to analyze whether all the compliances are being taken care individually regarding the subject of the data as well as the country-specific laws. Also regarding whether where all the data is traveling, where the data is residing, which country the data is. So essentially these are the overview of the presentation things. Now individually, if you are coming to the legal issues, primarily legal issues would be compliances. As we said that there are different compliances of every country. Then there are security issues. Jurisdiction is one of the issues. When we are talking about the jurisdiction, that is important because as the data is essentially traveling through across borders. So when the data is essentially traveling across borders, it can be subjected to various countries' jurisdiction. It can be subjected to EU, like European jurisdiction. It can be subjected to Indian jurisdiction. It can be subjected to other jurisdiction where all the data is traveling. So choice of law in the case of deciding the jurisdiction in case there is a dispute is a challenging part because you have to analyze where all the data resided, which part of the country, which part of the world the data was, and what laws, which legal implication would apply to the same. Then we are coming to the term termination. When we are talking about term termination, many a times when a when a owner wants to terminate the engagement with the vendor, it becomes a very cumbersome issue when the vendor is not letting them go of the contract. So essentially the owner has to see these things in the contract itself. Then we will be covering about the attacks as well, attacks on cloud. Recently many cases have come like on the LinkedIn, we saw previously there was a case on Sony PlayStation, we will be covering that as well. Then ownership of the data. Ownership is primarily the IP. The data is the IP, like the owner is the primary author and owner of the data. So he has to ensure, the company has to ensure that the data remains their property only, that the ownership is not transferring to the vendor. So if we individually take these issues, starting with security and privacy. If we start with security and privacy, we have like the owner has to ensure that what is the physical location of the data and the data centers, where all, as we spoke about that, where all the data is traveling, where all the data is stored, so as to ensure that what is the security and privacy of the data. Secondly, what is the level of encryption of the data, like how is the vendor storing the data, what is the encryption method, are they following a strong encryption method or not. A right to audit the same should be allowed to the owner of the data. Then when we go to that, cloud is, as we spoke about that, cloud is essentially a cloud multi-tenant architecture in which there is an involvement of multiple parties. It's not one-to-one relationship what we are talking about, it's a multi-party relationship. And when there is a multi-party relationship, then the complexity of security and privacy comes in, wherein each party would be passing on the liability to the other party. Okay, in case there is any breach, that's not my responsibility, and each party might be wanting to pass on the liability to another. So the owner and the vendor should be clear about those, and the owner should know that where my data is. Then again, when data is stored in the cloud, the service provider has all the rights to mining of the data, to ensure that what is the extent of the data mining by the service provider, what are they using it for, are they using it within the allowed limits of contract, are they going overboard, they are using it for some other purposes also, that those things have to be ensured. Then the access rights management have to be seen that whether the provider is within their rights to access the data or they are going outside. Then when we are coming to SLAs, as I spoke about that, essentially and mostly the SLAs are non-negotiable. Non-negotiable, I am saying so that they are mostly the click-wrap agreements, which are that when we visit a site, there are agreements that, and we unknowingly, without reading them, just click that I agree. And when you click on those terms that I agree, even if you have not read those content, those agreement, those terms, when you click that I agree, that means that you are abiding, you are entering into a contract with that vendor and you abide by all those terms and conditions. And later on, if there is a dispute, you cannot say that I did not read those conditions. Because once you submitted to the said side and said I agree, that means that you are agreeing and you are responsible for whatsoever is written in that agreement. So it's essential that whenever owner is entering into an SLA, those should be not one-sided SLAs which are drafted, mostly drafted by the provider and which are a very biased and one-sided agreement. Those should be having a equal degree of reporting in which even the owner should be having a say that these are my rights, these are your responsibilities. In case of anything, these are the things which I am going to get. Also, additional options for termination should be given. Mostly the option for termination is missing from SLAs and cloud service. So those should be given. Again, the opportunity to conduct the due diligence in the contract, pre-contract negotiation should be there, and also due diligence to the affairs of the company, that how they are treating the data in their data centers and servers, that should be given to the owner. Then strong limits, as we said that there are multi-parties involved in an agreement. So when the multi-parties are involved, then each party liability should be defined, that this is the liability of one party, this is the liability of another party. They should not be saying that, okay, I can escape this liability. Those liabilities should be strictly and clearly defined, even the direct liability, not only the indirect liability, but even the direct liability. One of the essential things which is there in SLA is that SLA's terms changes without any prior intimation and information to the owner. The service provider would just change the terms and conditions of the SLA and would not inform. And even if they have not informed the owner, then also the owner is liable for the same, like he has to abide. So those should be that in case of any change to the SLA, the owner should be informed well in advance so that they can take charge of any changes. So we have already covered part of it, multi-parties, that a cloud essentially involves multiple parties and they tend to shift the onus and liability on another party. And also as cloud involves subcontractors. So what many times people do, that the service provider is shifting the liability of their part to the subcontractor. Or also on the contrary, if a subcontractor is liable as in default, then he might not be liable at all because his liability has been disclaimed entirely. So those things also should be taken care of. Then if we come to the IP protection and the data protection, who is the owner of the data? The owner should, before entering into any contract or porting the data to the cloud, should ensure that they are not giving the ownership of the data anytime, anywhere to any party in the cloud, to any party. They are retaining all the ownership to the data, all the rights. They are ensuring that the cloud service provider is maintaining the data protection techniques and technologies. Then the owner has to also define that what is the degree of the right defined, how much are the rights granted to the service provider, and how much is the third party access to the data allowed. The third party data, like for what purposes and to what extent it is allowed. NDA is a basic agreement which is often not signed with the provider, but it's essential and should be taken care that it's essentially signed and abided by. That, and as we discussed, that ensuring that no rights are transferred to the service provider and always retained by the owner of the data. Then when we are coming to the cross-border data flow, that essentially gives the right that as we spoke about that the cloud involves the flow of data across borders. If when the data is flowing across border, it would be stored in different locations. So when the data is stored in different locations, so essentially wheresoever the data is stored, that particular country's jurisdiction can be applied to. So if in case there is a dispute between the vendor and the owner of the data, we have to analyze at which country's jurisdiction is applicable. That can be a big point of dispute that owner, which is one of the case can be that the owner is in India and the data is in European country. So that's the dispute part that which country's law would be applicable, Indian law or European law, because there is a remarkable difference between the Indian law and EU laws regarding the privacy and all the data protection laws. So when we are coming to the compliances, as we discussed that whenever the data is stored in the cloud, it's due to compliances subject-wise and the country-wise as well. And as we discussed that the owner is equally responsible as a service provider to ensure the compliance of the respective legal compliances. Few of the legal compliances which can be HIPAA, SOX, SAS 70, GLP, PCI, these are the respective laws in respect of country as well as subject. As I said that HIPAA mandates standard practices to ensure security, confidentiality and data integrity for healthcare related data. So, for example, in case healthcare related data is stored in the cloud, then the service provider has to ensure that they are compliant with all the HIPAA nuances and all. Then we are coming to term and termination, that in case the owner wants to terminate and exit from the engagement with the provider, that how can they bring back the data to their own servers, or in case they want to port the data to another vendor, how can they do it? Whether the prior vendor allowing that or not, what is the SLA regarding that, how much they are cooperating for the porting of the data, what is the policy for the porting of the data, that has to be seen. Can the records be successfully accessed in case of exit or not? Can data be extracted from the cloud or not? These things have to be seen and have to be decided prior to entering into any contractual engagement with the owner. Then there are several attacks which a cloud is vulnerable to. It can be hacking, it can be virus, malware disruptions, browser attacks, tampering, SQL, network security attacks. These attacks basically threat the security and the confidentiality of the data to the extent that the data is can be open to even the clients and the further customers' data is subjected to public information. So that has to be seen that the owner, the provider is maintaining efficient measures to ensure that no attack is happening, or even if there is an attack, what are the disaster mechanisms, what is the recovery of this data in the same. These are the few case studies which I am going to take briefly. We all know about the Sony PlayStation network attack, in which there was an attack on the Sony PlayStation and other websites of the Sony Pictures, which ultimately Sony was unable to protect the data of more than 100 million user records, due to which dozens and data breaches happened, and they entered into the owners, the customers entered into a class suit against Sony because of the default and not storing the data in a proper manner and leaving it open. Quickly going through few other attacks, we all know about the recent attack on LinkedIn, Yahoo, Epsilon, in which if we talk about the LinkedIn attack, the hackers breached the site, stole more than 6 million customers' information, password, and because what was the reason that the data was very lightly encrypted. It was not a strong encryption, it was a very light encryption, because of which the hackers could read the data and posted them on a hacker forum. It's not only about the hacking, but many of the times the customers are using and reusing the same passwords on various sites. So if a hacker is if a hacker is having a hack of the individual password, they can try, and they usually try it on other sites as well, which might be financial and like bank also. So that has to be ensured that the data in cloud is secure. So these quickly going through the mitigation strategies, as we already discussed, the security of regarding the security, the owner has to evaluate the service provider security policy very strongly, that they have strong security policies. Encryption of the data is very strong, and the confidentiality and the integrity of the data is maintained. And in case of any data breach, what is the disaster mechanism for the same, and how quickly the provider remedying the same. Regarding the contract, as we discussed, that identifying relative risk between the parties, ownership of the data, data protection guidelines, trade secrets, indemnities, is the service provider indemnifying himself against everything, because many times they simply indemnify themselves against everything, any or disaster. So those has to be seen. Planned and unplanned termination agreement and return of the data to the owner, and in case of portability, that has to be seen. Liability of each party in the event of breach of contract should be determined in advance. Ownership of the data, that who is the owner, and no ownership is transferred to the provider or any third party in the cloud should be ensured. If we come to right to audit to check the compliances individually, like financial compliances, the legal compliances, this particular data subject compliances should be given, where the location of the data should be ensured, to see the legal and the statutory compliances. So essentially, that was about the legal and the legal nuances. So briefly we covered about the issues, threats, and the mitigation strategies. So any questions? You're most welcome.
Can you please illustrate a single case where there is a legal violation?
Legal violation?
Legal violation, I mean, it is a case.
Yeah, when I spoke about the HIPAA case.
That's decided by the Supreme Court of India. Where do you have been represented?
None of the case I know.
One more question.
Sure.
We spoke about multi-tenancy, and we also spoke about right to audit. If there are two competitors hosting the data with the same cloud provider, how do I allow one of them to go and audit mine?
That's what we say, that right to audit should be given, that in case they are storing the data of competitors, same provider, then they have to ensure that they are not disclosing the data of the one company to another company, because
Wouldn't audit allow me the access to data?
no, we are not talking about the access to data. Obviously, they will not allow the access to data. That will be breach of the policy. No one will allow the access to data. It's to ensure that they are not disclosing my secrets, like my company's secret, to a competitor company. They will not allow the access of one company's data to another company. So that's not the purpose of audit actually.
Another question related to similar thing. We spoke about ownership of data and then allowing mining of data. Now, if we are saying that we at no point we should be giving up the ownership of data,
Right.
how would we allow mining of data and then the mined data and those conclusions being
What I mean by that, we should not allow ownership of the data, that the ownership rights, that who is the owner of the data. Essentially, the ownership of the data would always be of the owner. For example, if Sony is storing their data in a cloud service, that Sony would always be the owner of the data. The ownership of the data, that particular data will never be transferred to the provider, service provider. So they have to ensure that never at any stage of the storage, the service provider is claiming their right to ownership of the data. And regarding mining that, how much and to what extent and for what purposes they are mining the data. Like they are only mining the data to the extent and authority granted, and also for the purposes for which it has been granted. So that is the purpose. What is the like how much access we are granting them? Access management.
So the contract has to detail out what all will be the purposes and the usage of.
Yes, contract should detail all these things. What is the and how much is the access rights? Any other questions? Yeah.
I have a simple question.
Yeah.
There are, few major cloud providers. Like you have Amazon, and then you have Windows Azure.
Right.
So I as a customer, I want to host data on the cloud. So based on their SLAs, existing SLAs,
Sorry,
based on their SLAs, right?
Sorry,
Cloud.
I didn't get that.
So if I want to host my data on Amazon or Windows Azure or Backspace
Right.
or any of the other big cloud providers, so based on their SLAs, what would be your legal recommendation as to which one is better to me as a customer?
No, I would not recommend like that. It's a very individual choice and depending on the requirements of the data as well. That what is the data you are storing, so depending on that, you have to select. As a legal professional, I would not be able to suggest that which is the best company to store the data because that would really depend upon the technology. What data you are storing is, that would be a purely a technical thing that a technical person would be a better person to address that where the data should be stored, which company it is. As a legal, it's difficult. Unless I'm not analyzing the individual company's policy and what data is stored in that particular company, we cannot suggest. For data storage, we first have to see what data is stored and what is the individual company's policy regarding that storage. Accordingly, we can advise.
But I think he was asking only about SLA point of view, not a technical point of view. So I think you might be the better person to.
Sorry, then I didn't get the question exactly.
The question is that amongst these three, whose SLA can he use?
Whose SLA is can use?
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay, I get that. Okay. Regarding SLA also, I would say that would really depend upon the data individually. That what data you are storing. Depending upon the data only, it would be, we can see that this SLA is better or not. So it will purely depend upon the data you are storing. Any other questions? Sure.
Right after the Sony example that I gave, Sony changed the terms of service, saying that if you agree to the terms of the SLA, then you're giving the rights to a class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
So every customer would have to deal with them on a case-by-case basis. But some of these, Sony just one example, some of these that waive the rights to a class action lawsuit don't give you ways necessary to take all your data and leave if you don't agree with the SLA.
Yeah,
How do you
mostly,
do?
that's what I'm saying. Most of the time, these are non-negotiable SLAs. And those are click-wrap, like you just visit the site and you just agree. You click on the I agree icon, which means it's a click-wrap agreement, and once you agree to that, you have to abide by those agreements. That's why I said that typically those are non-negotiable agreements, SLAs. So you have to ensure that how can you involve your legal team since the beginning, since not directly porting the data to the cloud, but initially only how can you come and to demand your terms against that, not simply abiding by those terms.
Okay, but since there is no third-party mediator, for example, for a lot of people in today's world, social networks are inexpensive. But when you sign up for a social network, you're running into a whole slew of SLAs.
Yeah, but see, then that's your responsibility. In case you are signing in those, then you are abiding by those.
Okay, so
And in case you are abiding, then
what would be
you
an
are.
alternative? What would you say would be an alternative? Because you either go or you don't. There's no
It's a very individual choice. In case you don't want to abide by, and in case you don't agree with those terms and conditions, you don't enter into the agreement.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. In case of any other questions or queries, you can reach me anytime. I'm available for any queries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ritamara Agrawal, for sharing your views on legal nuances to the law. I request Mr. Dinesh Baraja to hand over the token of appreciation to Ms. Ritamara Agrawal.